Okay, so I'm back with Pluto in the seventh house Synastry. Okay, where do I start? This is an interesting one for the simple fact that when we deal in the seventh house, anything, we're dealing with balance, we're dealing with fairness, we're dealing with partnership. And sometimes you're not going to get your way. Okay, it's really a meeting of the minds. I really don't think people understand this. And like I said, I try to say it as much as possible, especially like if you're more of a traditional person, to where you like traditional relationships where it's like the man plays a role, the woman plays a role, or the masculine plays a role, the feminine plays a role. That can exist here, but a lot of times in the seventh house, it's hard to pull off that way. It's more about equal opportunity. And the thing that gets me about this particular synastry aspect is Pluto being in the seventh house. Pluto does not look for fairness necessarily. Pluto is more about saying, okay, so what is here that's going on? What needs to be changed? What changes could I come in and make? What can I wreck? What could I cause, reap havoc on in order to spark and initiate this change? So, in order to achieve this fairness, in order to achieve this insight about partnerships and relationships, there could be a lot of mishaps, emotional mishaps, drama, and things of that nature that goes on before this understanding could be developed, or a lot of times before it is developed, for the most part. And it can happen, caveat, by way of people outside of the relationship that is interfering with the relationship between these two individuals as well. Okay? Now, granted, Pluto in seventh house synastry can definitely be a power couple. It can represent a power couple. It's very hard to miss these individuals because of the fact that the seventh house is dealing with other people as well. And these two can come together. Have y'all ever heard that saying? Like, okay, well, when I was single, nobody wanted me. But now that I'm with somebody else, here come all these options. When I was single, there won't nobody, and now that I'm with somebody, here comes these options. Even people that I thought that I was interested in, and that I felt like I couldn't have access to, now I have access to. And it's challenging for the relationship. It tests the couple to see how strong they are, to see if other people can come in and break them up, and that type of stuff. And not to mention, there's a heavy load of jealousy, whether it's other people outside of the relationship that's jealous of these two individuals, or whether it's just one partner is looking and seeing like the other partner talking to someone else and misinterpreting it. And this could go both ways. This is the house of Libra. So there's a lot of tests that go on between these two. And there's a lot of power struggles and manipulations, because Pluto is going to try to get its way through making the seventh house person see like what it's experiencing and how it's feeling. Meaning, if Pluto, and depending on other placements of this person, mind you, is the results and is the approach that you're going to get. But let's say this is a Scorpio sun. That'll be a situation to where this person may not communicate to you at all about its motives, why it's doing what it's doing, why it's even upset. He or she is upset in the first place. And that could be very challenging for the seventh house of communication. It could be. Now, with that being said, let's take Pluto in the seventh house. Let's say Pluto experiences or sees the seventh house talking to someone and smiling, to where it could seem like this seventh house person is flirting with the individual. Pluto could feel insecure and start doing things to make the seventh house person feel insecure. Okay? And like I said, depending on the sun sign, depending on other placements, will determine if this is something. Because really, what's going on is there's communication that needs to take place, and there is an understanding, a general understanding between the two that needs to take place, or it's going to keep being the situation of power, control, and manipulation. Like, oh, I got a little bit jealous, I'm not gonna lie, because you was talking to such and such, it looked like you were smiling, it was, and then, you know, the other person can say, hey, well, yeah, I was smiling because they're going to, like, I'm just being civil. Seventh house person, I'm being civil, like, I'm just being cordial. It has nothing to do with flirting, you're seeing things. And it depends on how the understanding level of this, you know, the Pluto person or each other to determine whether this could be handled in a civil way or not. Because if not, it will be constant power, who's got the power, who's going to hold the power in this situation. When this relationship has to be approached from a more logical, rational, fair approach. What's fair in this situation, in a relationship? Okay, now let's go to some positive points. Like I said, these two can be a power couple depending on like certain placements. It definitely can. Pluto can stimulate the seventh house person to kind of like do this changing of itself for the better. And it could be because Pluto hits the seventh house, it doesn't matter. It could be a psychological thing, because the Pluto person can stimulate the seventh house person like on inner instinctive drive, to where the seventh house person is like really, really turned on by Pluto, like really like feeling like, you know what, like, let me get my, hold on, because is she gonna be at home, you know, let me, it's like becomes this sophisticated, eloquent, classy, but behind the scenes nasty, you know what I'm saying? Okay, seriously, it can be a smoldering passion and you can't hide it. Don't ever cheat with the individual with that Pluto in your seventh house. You can't hide it. This couple is envied by other people possibly too, and like y'all have the makeup, because you get into these arguments and you like, and then when you arguing and you mad and you looking at each other and you talking and you getting amped up and you doing all this and you doing all that, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, oh my god, like, I didn't even look how good you look, you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden it turns into something passionate. But like I said, people you can't hide, because people like these two, it could possibly be very hard to keep their hands off of each other, and it's very property. The Pluto person could possibly want to own the seventh house person in like a property way, like, this is my property, like, this is like mine, and be very defensive over it and be ready to like really go there, like protect this person. Almost, it's very interesting because it's like the Pluto in the first house Synastry in a weird way. You know, where you're like, what? But other people can tell and can sense these two a mile away. There could be a very instinctive, there's this weird closeness here. And it's crazy because you two can really get to know each other very on an intimate level and really, really well. If Pluto would stop with his motives, you know what I mean? In a very intimate, these two could be very intimate with each other and very intimate in the communicate. Like, depending on the sign, the other placements too, communication could be very, very good. It can be. Think about it. It's Pluto likes to play games. So you gotta get to learn each other. You gotta get to know each other, you know, and allow that to happen and not get caught up into the intimate part and the sexual part. Because you will see that over time, the truth is going to come out anyways about who Pluto is, about the seventh house person too, because it just depends on. But there is a connection here there is an intimate level, and it's very passionate, and it really can transform both individuals. The seventh house out of like instinctively feels like, becomes very deep, sexual, in tune with itself. And it can just go, there could be power struggles here. So communication will definitely be helpful and beneficial. And, trying to be on the same page and keeping that understanding there. Okay. And remember, you don't own each other. Like, okay. Okay. All right. Put a fly to the light, and I will be back. Peace.